The sun had barely risen over Tontitown, Arkansas, when the Duggar household was shaken by the loud, panicked cries of Anna Duggar. Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. For Duggar family latest news update, please subscribe the channel and press the bell icon. Call 911. He's not breathing properly, she screamed, her voice trembling as she knelt beside her husband, Josh Duggar, who had suddenly collapsed in their bedroom. Josh, just 37 years old, had been complaining of chest pains the night before. But neither Anna nor he thought it was serious. They had attributed it to stress, maybe even something he ate. After all, the past few years had been nothing short of a roller coaster for the disgraced eldest Duggar child, but now his face was pale, his breathing shallow, and his eyes half open. Anna's hands were shaking as she pressed her fingers to his pulse. It was faint. Too faint, the call that changed everything. The ambulance arrived within minutes. Paramedics rushed in, quickly checking his vitals and loading him onto the stretcher. Anna followed behind, clutching her phone and silently praying. Tears streamed down her cheeks. Lord, please don't take him. Not now, not like this. The sirens wailed. The news spread like wildfire. Jill got the call first, then Jessa. Soon Jim, Bob, and Michelle were informed. The family's group chat, long quiet due to inner tensions and division, was suddenly flooded. Josh had a heart attack, the message read. He's in critical condition. For a family as large and as fractured as the Duggars, the message hit like a nuclear bomb. A fractured legacy. Josh Duggar had been the center of controversy for nearly a decade. Once seen as the golden child of the Duggar clan, the one who would carry on his father's legacy of faith, family, and conservative values, he had fallen from grace in the most public and shameful way. His scandals had broken hearts, marriages, and reputations. He had been imprisoned, shunned by some of his own siblings, and largely hidden from public view. Till Anna had stood by him. Through the court trials, the prison sentence, the betrayals, and the whispers, she remained loyal. Her belief in redemption and God's grace kept her going even when others, including some of her sisters-in-law, encouraged her to leave. Now, as she sat in the cold hospital waiting room, she felt the weight of all those decisions. Was this it? Was God taking Josh away? Hospital hysteria. Washington Regional Medical Center, doctors worked tirelessly to stabilize Josh. He had suffered a massive heart attack, they said, a full cardiac arrest. For over 2 minutes, his heart had stopped. The medical team managed to revive him. But he was now in a coma. Hooked up to machines, wires, and beeping monitors. He's alive, the doctor told Anna, but he's not out of the woods. The next 24 hours are critical, Anna broke down. She held his hand in the ICU, her body shaking with sobs. I still need you, she whispered. Our kids still need their father. Their 7 children, Mackenzie, Michael, Marcus, Meredith, Mason, Mariella, and Madison, were too young to understand the full gravity. But they could feel the fear, the tears, the silence. Michelle and Jim Bob arrived soon after. Michelle cried as she leaned over her son's bedside. Oh, my sweet boy, come back to us. Jim Bob, ever stoic, stood quietly, his arms crossed, deep in thought. This wasn't how the Duggar story was supposed to go. Family reunited by tragedy, the tragedy acted as a magnet. Jill, despite her estrangement, came to the hospital. She hugged Anna. She cried beside Michelle. Even Jinger flew in from Los Angeles with her husband Jeremy. The entire Duggar family, at least those who would come reunited in that hospital chapel. Jessa led a prayer. Joseph and Josiah sat silently, deep in their thoughts. Joanna held tightly to her husband Austin's hand. Years of tension, bitterness, and silence were washed away by the weight of potential death. And no cameras. No press releases. No statements, just a family. Broken, praying for a miracle. Flashbacks and regrets as Josh lay unconscious. His mind drifted, or so Anna hoped. She believed he was still in there, listening. She spoke softly about their first date. Their wedding day. The birth of each of their children. She forgave him again, not for his sake, but for hers. For healing. Jim Bob, in a rare moment of vulnerability, sat at his son's bedside and whispered, I should have done more, I should have protected you and them better. She was the closest thing to an apology anyone had heard from him. The final breath of 4:37 a.m. Josh's monitors began to beep erratically. Doctors rushed in. Anna screamed, no! Please, no! Don't take him, but it was too late. Josh Duggar was pronounced dead at 4:45 a.m. He had suffered a second cardiac arrest. This time, his heart could not be revived. The news broke the next morning. Josh Duggar, 37, dies of heart attack in Arkansas hospital. Public reaction. The internet exploded. Some mourned. Others criticized. A flood of mixed reactions poured in, from sympathy to anger, from forgiveness to outrage, but none of that mattered to the Duggar family at that moment. For Anna, her world collapsed. She sat motionless, still holding Josh's now lifeless hand. Her children were brought in one by one. The older ones understood. The younger ones only cried because their mother did. The funeral. The Duggar family organized a private funeral. It was held at Cross Church. Away from media, Anna gave a eulogy, her voice breaking. I loved him even when the world didn't. I believed in his redemption, even when others called me a fool. He was broken, but he was still the father of my children. Jim Bob spoke too, this time with less bravado. We are all sinners. But we serve a God of mercy. May we learn, grow, and never forget the importance of grace. Josh was buried quietly beside his grandparents. No camera crews. No network specials. Just tears, silence, and a faint Arkansas breeze. Life after Josh, Anna moved into a smaller home, away from the Duggar compound. She focused on her kids' homeschooling, counseling, and slowly rebuilding their life. She didn't speak to the press. She declined all interview requests. Jill and Jessa visited more often. The sisters slowly started mending the broken ties, united not by ideology but by grief and shared womanhood. The Duggar brand, already tarnished, faded even further from public relevance. TLC issued a brief statement but didn't re-air any old episodes. Jim Bob and Michelle retired from public life. Their dream of a Duggar political dynasty was now firmly buried with their son redemption in grief. Anna began writing. Not a memoir, not yet. But letters to Josh, to her children, to God. Her faith, once shaken, found new roots. Not in perfection, but in survival. One of her entries read, grief is a strange thing. Breaks you and saves you at the same time. I don't know if the world will ever forgive you, Josh. But I know our children will know your love and your flaws in full truth. That is the legacy I choose to honor. Epilogue. Silence and peace. Years later, the Duggar name would resurface from time to time in documentaries, books, or headlines, but for those closest to Josh, the noise faded. What remained was a complicated grief, full of what-ifs and if-onlys. Anna never remarried. She raised her children with quiet strength, teaching them honesty, humility, and faith, not blind but tested and earned. And in the quiet hills of Arkansas, beneath a modest gravestone, lay the man who once carried the weight of a family legacy and ultimately was crushed by it. Anna Duggar admits there were a few surprises on her first trip with her new in-laws. Anna Duggar is soaking up some family time with her new in-laws. On Wednesday, March 19th, Duggar, 35, posted a YouTube vlog of a camping trip she took last fall with her husband, Stephen Wisman, and his family. The former 19 kids and counting star in Wisman, 31, tied the knot last August 15th in a classic, elegant ceremony. Counting on Alum gave her followers a tour of the trailer her husband purchased for the getaway. It's actually kind of cute, a surprise, Duggar said after doing a walkthrough of the trailer's bedroom, kitchen, and restroom. Duggar then explained they were traveling to Old Threshers, an annual event held over Labor Day in Mt. Pleasant, Iowa, that draws thousands of tourists. The Wisman family performed music at the event. The couple's first outing as husband and wife. Duggar gave a behind-the-scenes look at the event setup before walking around the town. She proudly filmed her husband and his brothers engaging in some light-hearted banter in between their musical performances, while also showing children playing and enjoying the music. Between the musical performances, Duggar highlighted shopping with local vendors where they taste-tested sodas, pickles, and snow cones. A fun element of the fair included old tractors shooting up sparks that she described as old-fashioned form of fireworks. To the end of the family's very eventful day, Duggar and Wisman sat around a quiet, unlit campfire with many empty camping chairs waiting for the rest of the family to arrive. Sweet family time around the campfire, Duggar said in the video while panning over to her husband. Wisman said the family needed firewood for the campfire, so they did their part and got the firewood. We provided it, Duggar said, panning to the firewood sitting in bags before continuing. And everyone showed up. Wisman had grabbed a bag of pretzel crisps to munch on while they continued waiting for the rest of the family. They're all going to come, Duggar said, appearing unconvinced. Great old family time. Moments later, the rest of the family arrived and proceeded to light the campfire. Duggar panned around the circle, showing the progress of the camping chairs filling in, giving a soft yay to the sight. The following day, Wisman gave a sweet introduction of his wife, Duggar, to a good-sized crowd. "This is her first year here," Wisman said in the microphone to the crowd while smiling proudly at his new wife. "We got married 2.5 weeks ago." The couple received a hilarious gift from Duggar's brother Jeremiah and his wife Hannah Duggar. Duggar sat on Wisman's lap as they opened it together to find metal whisks for an electric mixer. Duggar was handed a power drill to plug the whisks into. "Perfect, that is cool," Duggar said, smiling and laughing as Wisman helped her assemble the tools. "You can use the tools they're used to," Wisman said before Duggar completed his sentence. "And I will feel at home." Last August, Duggar told People during an exclusive interview in August that she had her dream come true wedding while marrying Wisman. The eldest Duggar daughter got engaged June 15th and exchanged vows during a traditional ceremony in front of 500 guests in Prairie Grove, Arkansas. "I think it is one of those things that all girls envision someday," Jana told People of her wedding 2 days before the celebration. "For me, it felt like, okay, it's never coming. But now it's starting to sink in. Reality is starting to set in. And I'm like, wow, this truly is something that I've dreamed of, and just to see it coming about is incredible and kind of hard to believe. It's a dream come true." Jana Duggar's sisters and mom visit her new home, and she made them work on DIY projects. Jana Duggar's life has been through a lot of changes in less than a year, but her family is still there by her side, even if she's now living in a totally different state for the first time. This week, Jana took to Instagram to share what happened when some of her family came to visit her before the Easter holiday weekend, and it looks like she really put them to work. Jana shared a little snippet from their time together earlier this week, showing that her mom Michelle, along with younger sisters Josie and Jordan, had traveled to Nebraska to stay with her and husband Stephen Wisman. "I so enjoyed having my mom and some of my sisters visit," Jana wrote in her caption. "They were very kind to help us with several house projects. To finish off their time here, we went out for brunch, coffee, and thrift store shopping. It looks like they had plenty of fun," even though Jana did use the extra manpower to get some things done around her house, which still seems to be a work in progress. Michelle even decked herself out in an oversized shirt and hat so she could get some painting done. Jana must have been so thankful. It's good to see they were able to visit her just before she hit another married life milestone, her very first Easter without her family. Fortunately, she and Stephen seemed to have a nice time celebrating together in Nebraska. On Sunday, Jana shared a photo of the couple together in their Easter best, paired with a clip from their outing to church for the occasion. There have been a lot of changes thrown Jana's way so far, but she seems to be loving married life, and after spending 30 years in a busy house like she did, she must really be enjoying all that quiet too. News: Jill Duggar's new hairdo causes backlash. Jill Duggar Dillard and her husband Derek were overjoyed when they found out they were expecting their 4th Childa baby girl. Her name would be Isla Marie Dillard, and she was already loved by her parents and her 3 older brothers. They eagerly waited for her arrival, dreaming of the day she would fill their home with her cries, her coos. But sometimes life doesn't follow the plan. At a routine checkup, they heard the words no parent ever wants to hear: "There is no heartbeat." Their beautiful baby girl had died in the womb. She was stillborn just months before her expected birth. The couple shared their heartbreak publicly. "It is with heavy hearts that we announce the stillbirth of our beautiful baby girl, Isla Marie Dillard. From the moment we found out we were pregnant, we couldn't wait to meet our baby." They held a memorial service for Isla. There was a tiny white coffin, soft toys, handwritten notes, and pale pink flowers. Her name, Isla, meaning devoted to God, and Marie, meaning wished for child, reflected how deeply wanted and cherished she was. Jill and Derek's 3 sons had looked forward to meeting their baby sister. "They never got the chance. We will love you forever and hold you in our hearts until we hold you in heaven." Jill Duggar is one of the Duggars who has done the most whistleblowing out of the family. Duggar News followers understand it's not easy going after the people who raised her, but they have been appreciative of her for speaking her truth and calling out the problematic elements. Now, most of Jill's posts surround her home life, her loving husband Derek, and her beautiful kids. One of the major sources of Jill's income is her social media presence. Hence, she is constantly posting things and sharing highlights from her life for everyone's entertainment. However, her new post caused a massive uproar on the internet. So, what exactly did Jill do which was so offensive? Duggar News. Jill Duggar details concerns about high-risk pregnancy. Won't have more kids. Jill Duggar had a devastating year. It was during her second trimester of her fourth pregnancy that she ended up having a stillbirth. It was a big deal for her and her husband, Derek Dillard. They had already named their baby girl Isla Marie. They also had a funeral for her in their backyard, and she shared many posts talking about her little one. In an Ask Anything session, a viewer wanted to know if she would have more kids or if she was content with her 3 boys. Well, Jill happily said that they tried to find a girl and talked about Isla Marie. She also said that her pregnancies are high risk, so she and her husband weren't trying at the moment. They were not sure if it would be worth it to try at that point because of Jill's health concerns. She did say that her deliveries and pregnancies from the past had been very difficult. Duggar News. Jill faces criticism for debuting new hairdo. Jill Duggar is always sharing wholesome family updates on her Instagram handle. The Duggar News star has made her husband and kids her sole priority. That's precisely why most of her reels and pictures on the platform contain her husband and kids. But this time around, Jill tried to do something different. She shared a post about how she added a little summer happy to her hair. Well, the video had Jill twirling around with light-colored dreads and braids in her hair. While many people appreciated her in the comments section, others felt differently. On Reddit, someone shared the link to Jill's post and kept saying how offensive it was. Many angry viewers began to call it a classic example of cultural appropriation. Post has since then been deleted from Reddit because of the insensitive comments. Jill Duggar says husband Derek is taking a sabbatical from his career as a lawyer. Jill Duggar and her husband, Derek Dillard, have taken a different route in their lives than many of her married sisters. For much of their early marriage, Derek was still in law school, and now the couple is finally getting to enjoy the fruits of his labor. But is his career path changing after all of that hard work? Jill has finally confirmed that Derek is switching things up. At least for now, rumors about Derek's career began last month. Just under a month ago, critics on Reddit discovered that Derek's LinkedIn profile indicates that he left his job as an assistant district attorney for the state of Oklahoma, a job he's held since 2022 in January now. His employment on his profile indicates that he's an attorney at Dillard LLC, starting his own law firm. So far, he hasn't shared any updates on his career himself, so critics have been trying to guess what's going on behind the scenes. Now, Jill is setting the record straight. During a Q&A on her Instagram stories, which has since expired, a fan asked if Derek was still working as a lawyer. Derek actually recently left his job of nearly 3 years, prosecuting attorney/ADA in Oklahoma, and is taking a sabbatical period for a while working on some personal endeavors. A very welcome change of pace for all of us, Jill wrote. According to the Ashley's Reality Roundup, it wasn't all that long ago that Jill and Derek moved for his job. After Derek graduated from law school and passed the bar exam, he and Jill shared a post on their blog announcing that they were moving to a new home near the Oklahoma border. At the time, they wrote that they were moving for a new job Derek recently accepted and are super excited for new adventures. We are sad to say goodbye to our very first home that we bought 3 years ago, but pray it brings much joy to the next family who will get to make memories here, the couple wrote in their post, which has since been deleted. Critics have a lot of thoughts about Derek's personal endeavors.